In July of 2018, I was living on my parents' farm in rural Kentucky. Being an upperclassman in high school, I was glad to have the summer respite that provided much-needed distractions from my grueling studies. The farm was small, roughly 20 or so acres of crop-laden land. We grew corn, green beans, several types of sweet peppers, and even watermelon every once in a while. My mom loved to sit by some raised beds and grow tulips, petunias, and orchids or two. I would help out by moving large bags of seed from point A to point B in front of the loader of my tractor. My dad taught me early on how to ride, mow, and carry items in the tractor. By the time of the encounter, I was able to maneuver the thing with an ease that only comes with experience. Another important piece of information relating to my encounter is that we have a large hill that rests perpendicular to our country house. The hill is beautiful and wild, flourishing with innumerable species of insects, mammals, and other critters. On the day in question, I had to do my least favorite chore, before doing this on the tractor, which was cleaning the chicken coop. It was an unpleasant experience, and I hated the smell of moldy pine shavings, but I got it done. Now it was time for the fun things, also known as the tasks that I could perform on the tractor. I went to the shed where we stored the equipment, opened the sliding door, and beheld the magnificent red Kubota. Sorry if I said that wrong. It was small for a tractor, but it was the perfect size for what we needed on the farm. I checked the diesel level, topped off the tank, and hopped into the seat. It started up, the massive engine roaring eagerly to life, and I got to work. The first thing to do was move 5 bags of chicken feed from my dad's truck to a storage area for chicken supplies. I quickly finished that task and looked at my list for the next assignment, which was to mow the hill that I mentioned above. I needed to mow it so that some people could come to our property to convert the piles of cut grass into usable hay bales. So with the profit from the hay bales in mind, I eagerly aligned the tractor up with a portion of the hill, lowered the brush cutter extension to an adequate level, and began mowing. About 20 minutes in, I had mowed several strips back and forth along the hill. With sweat dripping from my brow, I braved the summer heat and proceeded to make a strip along the tree line. For no apparent reason, a blur of dark gray fur burst from the trees and seemed to glide across the field into the trees that were on the opposite side of the hill. I don't think I would have seen it had it not made such a commotion as it initially exited the forest. Thinking it was a coyote or something of the sort, I stopped my tractor, grabbed my phone, and texted my dad, who was on the opposite side of the farm, cutting down some dead trees that had fallen from a recent July storm. "Spotted coyote or something on the hill. Stay alert," I typed. We took coyotes seriously since our chickens commonly roamed free in the large area designated for them. They could easily be harmed and killed by a predator. With that in mind, I resumed my mowing and eventually forgot about the whole thing entirely. However, when I was mowing through a particular thick patch of grass, the furry creature ran out of the woods to my right. This time, it purposefully avoided the brush cutter blades as it jumped onto the back of my tractor and stood still for a moment. That's when I was able to get a good look at it. Vaguely resembled a coyote or a wolf, but its limbs and paws were completely wrong. The paws, in fact, were not paws at all. They were fur-covered hands. Its arms and legs were too muscly to be those of an ordinary canine. Even in daylight, its eyes had an eerie, unsettling, intelligent glow to them, like the thing was calculating every possible move. Its face resembled that of a canine animal, but the way its skin drooped and was detached in some places made its face look mangled. The creature looked utterly wrong, from its head to its misshapen toes. The creature tried to climb up to where I was, and after its first failed attempt, my brain finally began to work again, and I went into fight or flight mode. I chose fight. So I swerved my tractor from side to side, eventually flinging the thing off. Then I sped up and hit it in the side with my front loader. I thought that would kill it, but it only looked mildly hurt as it hightailed it back to the woods. After the experience, I finished a couple more strips before calling it a day. I was too overwhelmed to safely operate the tractor, so I did the smart thing and took it back to the shed. I arrived at a grisly sight. Before me laid all of our chickens, their bodies eviscerated. Gore lay about in the chicken enclosure. Then I saw it. Standing in the enclosure was the creature that had tried to attack me. It was ripping apart a chicken as I watched. However, it didn't eat anything, as if it was trying to send a message, like, this is what will happen to you if we cross paths again. When it finished its massacre, the creature hopped out of the enclosure, looked at me with primal hatred, and lopped back into the woods. It was the last time I saw it, but it wasn't the last time it would come to the farm. One night, my dad and I were sitting on the front porch of our house in an area that faced the hill. We were talking about the harvests and the insects that ate the crops, when all of a sudden a blood-curdling screech came from the direction of the hill. My dad and I both shot up out of our chairs. "You heard that, right?" my dad asked in a panicked tone. "Yeah, I heard it," I responded, confirming his fears. My dad's a tough guy, and I would like to think that I'm well-weathered myself. We've both been to hell and back, but that noise that came from the woods still makes me shiver to this day. My dad and I don't speak of the noise, for fear of whatever made the sound might come back up close and personal next time. Now, I'm not sure whether the screech came from the creature I encountered on the hill, but I'd like to think so. I don't know of any other animal on Earth that can make that sound. If anyone knows what this wolf-coyote creature was, what they are, or if they've had similar experiences, I'd love to hear about it. I've been searching for answers for years, but have come up empty-handed. I've scoured the internet, talked to local wildlife experts, and even consulted with cryptozoologists. No one seems to know what I'm talking about. It's as if the creature never existed, but I know what I saw, I know what I experienced, and I know that I'll never forget the terror that I felt that day on the hill. I've tried to put the experience behind me, to move on with my life, but it's hard to shake the feeling that the creature is still out there watching and waiting. I've had nightmares about the creature, about its glowing eyes and its misshapen body. I've woke up in the middle of the night with my heart racing and the sound of its screech still echoing in my mind. I've tried to convince myself that it was just a wild animal, that it was just a coincidence, that it seems so intelligent, so calculating, but deep down I know it's not true. I know that the creature was something more, something that can't be explained by science or reason. I know that I'll never be able to shake the feeling that it's still out there, waiting for me. Well, I am sorry that you went through that. Like many of us have had these unexplainable experiences. You know what you saw, and it is difficult to rationalize something that can't be rationalized. I really hope that by you sharing this with us, that maybe it helps put some ease to your fears. Although I know it probably will never truly go away, maybe it'll help. Maybe somebody listening would have more insight as to what it could have possibly have been. Maybe somebody listening has had similar experiences, to help kind of put the pieces together. But until more people come forward and share, I guess it's all just kind of pieces that we gotta figure out together. I pray everyone has a safe and peaceful evening. And as always, keep your head on a swivel and don't be something's dinner. Have a good night, everyone.